Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all about parenting, good communication, and how to improve your family relationships all over the world through the lens of self-government. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to parent with different parenting styles. Probably one of the most common questions that I get asked is, how do I even do good parenting when my husband and I don't agree, or my spouse is not on the same page with the parenting with me? How do we make those two worlds come together and be on the same page with our parenting? Well, in this video, I'm going to be talking about those different types of parenting and some true stories from my life with my husband, and then also how to come together so that you both can be on the same page with your parenting, or at least be able to work together in the very best ways. Without a doubt, the ideal for parents is that they parent the same way, right? That they're on the same page, which is the common term that people usually say to me when they're asking about this question. So when, say, mother is very authoritarian, she gets angry a lot, and dad's a little bit more like the fun guy and like, let's just have fun, and he's more maybe passive, the kids kind of walk all over him, that kind of thing. How do husband and wife maintain any amount of order at home? It's going to be a battleground all the time if that's the case. And I want you to know that is the most common scenario. One parent who is authoritarian and they are heavy-handed, and then another parent who's like, let's just be friends and let's just be nicey and we don't need to do that. Now, the one person can take that friend approach because the other person's being the heavy, so they don't have any responsibility there. They can just look at the heavy and say, you're extreme, right? Like, let's just be nice. The kids are nice to me. Yeah, they're running to you for shelter because this other person is being a bully, right? But they feel like they have to maintain some sort of order or structure or whatever it is. So, but then the more authoritarian parent is looking at that other parent saying, okay, you are enabling bad behavior. You are teaching them not to respect parental authority. You are actually making things bad for our child. Could you please not do that, right? And so they feel like that they have to be even more heavy-handed in order to counter this amoral upbringing that they are pretty sure that's happening on the other side of things, because that line between parental authority is becoming more and more blurred. So passive or permissive parenting versus authoritarian parenting, this is where people struggle. And the actual answer to the problem lies in the middle. So the best type of parenting, the type that doesn't have any emotional manipulation, is actually assertive parenting. I call it traditional strict parenting. Some people call it authoritative parenting. So this is a type of parenting that's very deliberate, it's intentional, it's planned out. And if both husband and wife can come together to use the principles of a traditional strict model of parenting, which I've talked about in many videos on this channel, so you can definitely go find more information on all these different styles of parenting if you're interested in those. But if the husband and wife come together with this traditional strict parenting, everything changes. And the reason why everything changes is because authoritative parenting isn't about manipulating, okay? So when a person is traditional strict or very deliberate in their parenting practices, some people say intentional parenting, those types of parents have made a plan for what they're going to do. And it's not just strategy to win arguments. It's actually a plan that's based upon principle. If they truly are traditional strict, then they have principle that they have based all of their decisions on, which means they hold themselves to it too. This means that honesty then becomes the prevailing tone in the home. And so when you are honest in all of your communication with each other, husband and wife, and with the children, everything changes, because the war then isn't really about what you're doing and what they're doing, and it's not about taking things personal. It's about coming to honesty, coming back to principle every single time. But how do you get there, right? Like, that's a hard thing for people when they're like, okay, I get that, but she doesn't get that, or he doesn't get that. So that's when people struggle trying to convince the other person to come on board with what they know is going to be best. Everybody learns different ways, and some people are stubborn in their learning. They like everything to be their own idea. They're not very open-minded to other ideas. And so when that is the case, there is oftentimes a lot of patience that is required. So this is where I need to tell you a little bit of a story from my life. Before I tell this story that is a true story about me and my husband, click that subscribe button. There are great videos on this channel that relate to all of this stuff that we're talking about. You're not going to want to miss them. Subscribe now and don't forget that notification bell so that you get notified when new videos come out. My husband and I started doing treatment foster care when my oldest children were still toddlers and babies. And so we took in youth that were ages 12 to 18 to do treatment for them. Part of this treatment required intensive training on how to work with troubled youth and how to help them overcome a lot of the issues that they were facing. So during this training, my husband and I looked at each other and went, this is really smart. This is really good stuff. And by the way, I was so excited that suddenly we were just like so unified in our parenting. It was amazing because someone was going to come to our home on a regular basis and watch us do treatment. We were going to be scrutinized in everything we do. Now, many parents could not take that kind of pressure, but we wanted to do this for troubled youth at the time and felt that it was best for our family. So we went ahead and did that. They would come, they would watch it and watch us, parent the most difficult interactions. And my husband was amazing at it and I was amazing at it. And we were so unified and it was so beautiful. And then years went by and we decided that we weren't going to be doing foster care anymore. And we were just going to focus on raising our children. So we have 4 children of our own. And at that time, my husband said, "Oh, good. I'm so glad that we don't need to use these words anymore." And I went, "What? No, honey, we have to." I said, "I'm going to keep using these skills and these scripts and the things that we're doing that help our children so much." And he said, "No, we don't need to. Our children are fine." And I said, "There's a reason that they're fine. They've had some really consistent, good parenting and they've learned a lot of skills. So, we're going to keep doing this, or at least I'm going to keep doing this." And he said, "Well, I'm not." He's like, "I don't like talking that much." And I didn't know that this whole time doing the foster care, he was doing it for those children. He wasn't doing it for his own family. Even though he was maintaining consistency, he hadn't totally bought into communicating that way just in general. He wasn't doing it for the principal. He was doing it to control the children. Where I was doing all of that communication for the principal to change the hearts of the children that I was working with, not just their behaviors. So my whole focus was completely different than his, and I had no idea until we hit the end. Now, luckily, he was following my lead through all of those years, so we had some really incredible outcomes. But it wasn't until afterward that I realized, whoa, we are not fully on the same page here. So he kind of bailed on me when it came to our parenting practices that we had established, and they were good. And then I was left going, what do I do? My children are not going to like the way he's behaving because he was starting to become very authoritarian. He was becoming a bully, kind of fear-based, power struggle, emotional type of parent. And the children were not responding well to it. They weren't following his instructions. They were kind of, not wanting him to ever handle a situation with them. They really felt like he wasn't living according to principle because they saw me living according to principle and then he wasn't. So what was I going to do? Turn my children against their father? That wouldn't help them, and it certainly wouldn't help him make any kind of a change. It would just lead to more power struggle, and it wouldn't help my cause either. So I thought long and hard about it. What was the principle that I needed to focus on right now as my husband was doing something different than I was doing? So I found a couple of principles, and I put my focus there. Number 1 principle was that people can learn. That is a principle. Learning, education, it truly happens, and it happens on somebody's own time. So he was going to have to learn on his own time. Another principle was cause and effect. Cause and effect is a great teacher. So I was going to have to rely on him learning from cause and effect, which means that I was going to have to practice acceptance of things not always going the right way when he was having a parenting interaction. So that required a lot of humility for me. I was going to have to not tell him what to do, not boss him around, not get emotional, and not drive a wedge between him and the children. I was going to have to build him up as the father and maintain principle myself, even though we were going to be doing something differently with the children. I also was going to need to be very direct. So deliberateness is also a principle. So I was going to have to talk to my children about what was the difference between what Dad was doing and what I was doing. And I was going to have to say, I'm choosing this because Dad is choosing this for his own reasons, right? I didn't know all of his reasons, so I would just have to say, and you're going to have to work with him possibly a little differently than me. If you're smart, you will keep doing the same skills with him that you're doing with me, even though he is not teaching you in the same way. So I had to make sure that the elephant was out of the room, that they saw that I noticed the differences. That would help them better be able to analyze what is better and what is not better. This was going to be good for their development, even if Dad wasn't all the way there yet, right? So I did that, and then I always supported Dad's interactions, and I said, listen, you can't tattletale on Dad to me. You have to try to disagree appropriately with him, even if he won't really listen to you because he's being emotional. You have to. He has to learn that that's the right way, and I'm praying for a change of heart, right? And that was it. And then I said, we all have to respect that everybody's at a different place. And we kept it there, even though I maintained the course and helped the children differentiate between what was true principle and what was not. I also believed in the principle of choice or agency and knew that at any moment he could choose to do something differently, that I had a choice, that I was going to choose to do what I thought the best practices were, because ultimately I was held accountable to God for my choices that I would make in rearing my children, and I could not use my husband as an excuse for not doing things the way I knew my children would most benefit from. So I made my choice, I allowed him to make his choice, and then with all of the parenting, I was allowing the children to make choices and showing them the cause and effect of each of those choices so that they could learn the very best. Those were the principles that I focused on, and they paid off. Let me explain. So I was praying all the time for the change of heart in my husband, that he would see that principle was the way to go and not just emotional manipulation. And it took a long time. It actually took somewhere between 1.5 years and 2 years of praying before he sat down one day. It was a Saturday afternoon on the couch, and he went, ugh. And something inside me said, this is the moment. And I looked over at my husband and I said, what do you want? And he said, what do you mean, what do I want? That's a pretty broad question. And I said, I mean, you're clearly frustrated about something. What do you want? And he said, I just want them to do what I say when I say it. And I said, oh, okay, well, if you just tell them this is an instruction, then they will do all 5 steps to following the instruction, because, we taught them all 5 of those steps, right? So the steps to following instruction are to look at the person, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, do the task immediately, and then check back. So I said to him, just tell them it's an instruction and they'll know that they have to follow all 5 of the steps. And he kind of got this little look on his face. Finally, he was humble enough and he said, that. You're right. We probably should do that again. And I said, yeah, whenever I say that, they just follow my instructions. He's like, I know. I've noticed. He was ready. My heart did a leap. I was so excited that he was ready to talk about this, finally. And you know what? Because of our little conversation right then, he changed. He changed. I get emotional just thinking about it right now. Thinking about that I had faith. I trusted that he could learn, that he would change, and that I wasn't going to talk bad about him or try to undermine him, but I was going to teach my children the truth, and I was going to have integrity and honesty in what I knew was right. And then I was going to wait for that right moment. And that was the moment, and he literally did not go back after that. Now, was he a perfect night and day switch? No, he had to refresh on a bunch of skills from the old days, right? But he did it. And he would catch himself doing it wrong, He would apologize for his misbehavior and he would fix it. And he now has been a person that has trained so many people on how to overcome that tendency to be aggressive and to be emotional, and how to be deliberate and intentional and traditional strict instead. My husband truly inspires me. Now, how long will it take for the person that you live with and love and are co-parenting with? I don't know. I can't say. But I do know that your tone, your approach during the whole process makes all the difference. You have to be true to what you know is right. You have to follow your own inspired thoughts about what your children need. And the other person has to learn in their own way. So be true, but be kind and be understanding, and you will see incredible success. Now, one thing that you are definitely going to need in this journey is your own dose of calmness. I have a Calm Parenting Toolkit that I would like to give you for free. In fact, it could be the first piece that your spouse or whoever you're co-parenting with could use to maybe get a vision of what self-government could do for them too. So take a look at it and see if it's something you want to share with them as well. It's a short introductory course, but it's completely free for you, and it's all about calmness. There are 10 short lessons on how to improve your calmness really quickly and to help your children be calm too. In the description below this video, there is a link to the Calm Parenting Toolkit. The link says teachselfgov.com/toolkit. Click on that link now, and I will see you at that Calm Parenting Toolkit. I cannot wait to hear about the changes that happen in your family.